Think the right way.
How are you? Thank you, guys. Thank you.
All these years I've been doing this show, and you've been around as well, and we've never interviewed each other. Oh, I've never interviewed you, I should say.
No, I know that, but both of us felt like we'd done the show together, didn't we?
Well, I knew I hadn't, actually.
Well, I'm such a fan of yours, too.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I really
am.
am.
You're really settling me down now, making me feel
Oh,
really
I'm
good.
sorry. Excuse me.
I was going to ask you, the first question was going to be, I mean, why re-release Liza with a Z? And then you see that, and you know why.
Well, no, really.
It's wonderful.
But, you know, what's funny is, I don't know about you, but I collect everybody else's work, but I forget about my own. And this wonderful editor, Michael Eric, redid Liza with a Z. It was on 16 at first, and you couldn't see it as well as you can now.
Yeah, Fosse showed it on film, didn't he? That's right, yeah.
And Fosse said to me it was his best stage work and his best film work. So when I finally saw it on 35L and what Michael had done to it, I thought, he'll love it.
Yeah.
He would have loved it.
It was, as I said, it was, Liza with a Z was a defining moment in your career, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
I mean,
and I think in television, too, because nobody had ever done a concert for television at that point. So you know what absolutely floored me when I saw it? I walk out there with all the confidence in the world. I thought, my God, I had cojones when I was 26. You know?
But I mean, it also, too, I mean, when you walked off that stage, you were Liza with a Z, weren't you?
Yes.
That was the change, wasn't it? That's what,
yes.
when you something had happened. For the first time, in a sense, you've broken away from all the past. You were your own person there. I mean, your life was a movie as a child, wasn't it? What's interesting reading about you is that there's a perception of living with Judy Garland and with Vincent that in fact it was an unhappy childhood, for a tragic childhood. Well, I mean, I must say, it seems a magical place to me that you were at. I mean, who lived down your street in Hollywood?
But it was just the neighbors.
Go on, who were
they? See, everybody was in the movie, so to me it was, oh, all right. Lana Turner, Mama, Sammy Cahn, Betty and Bogey, Humphrey Bogart and Betty Bacall, Art Linkletter,
a Gershwin
Graham.
or two?
No, they lived on Roxbury.
Oh, nearby.
Yes. But see, you know what I was saying before to a very lovely woman who's also your guest tonight, it's funny, but if you live in a coal mining town, everybody goes to the coal mines. You live in Hollywood, everyone goes to the studio.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same.
Yes. Well,
you're on schedule. You wake up, you have breakfast, you have dinner at 7.
Yeah.
It's very scheduled.
Well, there aren't too many miners, and I grew up in a mining village. I couldn't go next door and ask for a cup of tea or a cup of sugar from Humphrey Bogart. You know, I mean, that would be... But the thing, too, I mean, you also went to work with your dad, didn't you? You lived on set.
Oh, I loved it, yeah. I loved it.
That must have been wonderful education for you.
Well, I didn't think of it as that because I had no intention of going into the movies. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an ice skater before I saw Bye Bye Birdie. I did. But I liked to go, I would go around. A lot of the kids visited their parents after school, you know. And you learn to be quiet on a set and you learn the rules. As long as you don't break the rules, you can go. But there was Mr. O'Hara, the cookie man, you know, and I knew the back way all over, you know, MGM, and I was friends with everybody on the lot.
And your dad used to play you cartoons?
Yes, oh, it made the actors so mad. There are rushes after, if you're making a movie, the next day you go and see what you've done the night before, right? My father was so kind to me that he'd play an MGM cartoon before that, and you'd hear Kirk Douglas going, Jesus Christ. You know, he's doing Van Gogh. And my father's playing me a Tom and Jerry cartoon.
I mean, people talk about your mum, but I mean, your father was an extraordinary man. I mean, Vincent Minnelli, he directed some of the great musicals in Hollywood, possibly The Great American in Paris as an example.
And Gigi.
And Gigi, and Meet Me in St. Louis and all that sort of stuff. I mean, so...
Well, I'm here because of Meet Me in St. Louis. That's where they met.
That's where they met, precisely. But I mean, and you said once that your father fed your imagination.
Yes.
In what sense?
Well, in the sense that when he'd tell me a bedtime story, he'd say, what do you want it to be about? And I could say anything. And he would then make up this wonderful story for me because he had such vision and such sensitivity and, you know, so every night was magical because of him. And he also taught me if reality got a little heavy as a kid, he said, you can be anybody you want to be. Who do you want to be today? And I could say a Spanish dancer. And if it was a Sunday, only on Sundays, he'd take me down to Rexall drugstore, and we'd buy crepe paper, you know, the kind that stretches, and safety pins, and come home. And because he started as a costume designer in the Earl Carroll Follies, he would wind this crepe paper on me in such a way that it would make a ruffle. You know, and they were great-looking pieces made on me. And he'd say, now what does a Spanish dancer do? And I'd say, dance? He'd say, yes. And he'd put on music, and he'd watch me for hours. I mean, how he didn't get bored with me, I'll never know. But he was just wonderful. And he taught me that the mind is a very powerful thing. To be cerebral and harmonious is extraordinary, and that's what he was.
Did you ever ask him when eventually you got to be an actress?
Yes.
Because he was a great director and directed great actors too.
Yes.
Did you ever ask him what an actor was? Did you say, Daddy, what is an actor? Well, what am I?
Well, I remember I was doing a school play, and I came home, and I had gotten a part in it. And there was an acting teacher, and I came home and I said, Daddy, what is acting? And he said, he had just come home from work, you know, 12-hour day. He said, I don't know, let me think about it. So we had dinner. I went to bed, and right before I went to sleep, he came in, and he said, I've been thinking about your question. He said, I think acting is hearing something for the first time and saying something for the first time. And that was great. And it was very important that hearing something for the first time came first.
Yes.
Because as a person, all we do is respond to each other, and that's what good actors do.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, Jane Fonda once told me the saddest thing. Her father said to me when I interviewed Henry Fonda that he thought she was the greatest actress of her generation. And I said this to her, and she said, but he never told me that. He never told me how good he was. Did your dad ever tell you how good you were? Did your mum do it?
My parents constantly told me.
Good.
Constantly told me how proud they were of me.
Good.
And the night that I won the Academy Award, he took me to the awards when I was nominated for the Cheryl Cuckoo, or Pookie, I think it was called over here.
That's right.
But the night that I won for Cabaret, you know, my father was very quiet and very elegant man. And we were sitting there. He yelled so loud in my ear, I couldn't hear out of that eardrum for days. He was so excited.
Well, let's be reminded what you did. Let's have a look at this.
You're better off without me, mine hair. Don't dab your eye, mine hair, or wonder why mine hair. I've always said that I was a rover. You mustn't knit your brow. You should have known by now. You'd every cause to doubt me, mine hair.
How tough is it to dance to Foss's choreography? I mean, he gets, you know, those strange contortions.
Yes.
I mean, he's not like a normal choreographer at all.
No, but he's very definite about what he wants, and he shows you how to do it properly, you know?
Yeah.
But I didn't know that I already had scoliosis. So I did everything he told me to do. And, but that one position that I went into, the last position, was my own. He said, where can you go from here? And I went, and somehow landed in that bizarre position. And I'm sure that was the first hip replacement warning.
That was the first. You had two.
Oh, yeah.
2 hip replacements.
Yes.
Through the dancing and also your knee as well.
Yes.
It's a tough life, a dancer, isn't it?
I know, but you know something? If anybody out there has to have a hip replacement, have it. I mean, I waited until I couldn't walk. And suddenly, it hurts a little bit afterwards. But it's different, the hurt. It's the kind that you know will get better.
Yes.
So if you have to have one, go ahead, really. It's so simple. Honestly, you know.
And can I also inquire about your general health? Because you were very ill, weren't you, quite a short time ago?
Yes.
What happened?
Well, I didn't know what was wrong with me. But I felt odd. And then I was told that I had 28 seizures. Altogether, I had 45 seizures. And I had brain encephalitis. And I was told that I would never walk or talk or move again.
Yeah.
But I didn't believe them. I was taught not to believe that, you know.
So what did you do then? I mean, how did you recover?
Well, after I panicked for a while, I thought, okay, now your father told you, there's always a way to do something. You just have to think about it. Just think about it. What do you know how to do besides sing and dance and act? I thought, rehearse. I know how to rehearse. So the next time they turned my head to the wall, I started very slowly to just go, you know, whatever I could do. And I did it every waking second. And then the same thing with walking. I said, all I have to do is take one step. That's all. And so I flung my leg in Atlanta. I said, that's enough for today. But it was a matter of bringing it back. And I work with brain-injured children at a wonderful place called the Institutes for the Achievement of Human Potential in Philadelphia. And when we're retraining a brain-injured child to walk, it's called cross-patterning. In other words, when you walk, you don't walk like this.
Yeah.
You know, you walk like that.
Yes.
And that's what retrains the brain. So I went back to Luigi, to my dance teacher, who also had been paralyzed in an automobile accident. And I'm going along like this, and I said, you think I'll ever dance again? He said, sure. And he told me later he started to cry, but in 6 months, I was dancing and I'd lost 40 pounds.
Good God,
You know,
amazing.
because I went every day. You gotta hang in there, you know?
So this is another comeback now then, is it?
Is this?
Is it?
No, what do you mean? Where have I been?
You're never away.
I've been on tour.
You've not been touring here.
I've been
No, but
working my butt
after
off.
that was a comeback. Then.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
that
sure.
was.
Now,
Yeah.
might I make an observation about your life? With the men that you've worked with, you've picked the best.
Thank you.
In your private life, you've not been that lucky.
Terrible.
Yeah.
The worst.
I mean, why?
Worst.
I mean, why is that?
I don't know.
I mean, you've got such impeccable taste for
Well,
creative
yeah,
people around you.
No, wait, I did pretty good in my private life. But I mean, the point is I don't think any man, no, think about it. Guys sitting in the audience, think about it. You go out with a girl, right? You fall in love with a girl. You just kind of like her, you know, you go out. And she says, I hope nobody bothers us. And he says, I don't care if they bother you, you know. So you sit down and somebody comes over and says, excuse me, Miss Minnelli, may I have your autograph? And you're trying to be adorable, you know. And you go, oh, yes, thank you. And you mean thank you, you know. And that happened. Now the second person comes over a little bit. And thank you, you know. On the first dinner it happens, it's all right. You know, he's kind of impressed that he's with you. Second time, he knows what's going to happen. Third time, it always seems to come just when he's telling a story and interrupt him. And the fourth time, you start apologizing for yourself. I will never apologize for myself again. Thank you.